feel like I need a chair or something. Well, things could be going better. Done. This is the part I've been dreading the most because I have this weird thing with any styrofoam or foam or anything that squeaks like this. It's worse than nails to a chalkboard with me, so I've got my headphones on noise canceling and I'm blasting music so that I don't have to deal with it while I do this, but this is my first cut of the foam board. There's gonna be many of them. I'm not super stoked for it, but we're just gonna get into it and do it. Boom! Nicest one yet, baby! Hell yeah, brother.
Pink. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is Jesse. He's helped me with the floor.
Yo.
Y'all, it's been fun working on this completely by myself, but it is nice to have somebody else give me a freaking hand, dude. Hell yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, you're killing me.
I'm killing you?
Yeah.
You don't like that?
No. It has been insanely hard to keep any of the floor clean through this entire process because of the weather changing and it just being sloppy and wet out. Today is the day that the subfloor can go in. This is down for weight right now to keep the floor from coming up from the glue, which seemed to have worked. Nice little bead of liquid nail here. It's definitely gonna be wet right here. Huh? Nope, just tacky. Cool. Well, a little overkill on the adhesive down here, but it's okay. I'd rather have it stay down than come up. Now, doing this whole process should be pretty simple for the most part, considering that my cuts that will be detrimental to how this turns out aren't going to be seen. I know a lot of people go for like a nice, you know, flush, like right up to beautiful connection. I'm not going to worry about it a whole lot because nothing's going to be seen. Everything's going to be covered for the most part, except for stuff like my door jambs and the very back, which I now have to figure out exactly where my doors come to for the rear so that I can get that framed out correctly. I don't think I'm going to need to do much besides maybe just a piece of 2x4. So that's cool. That should be pretty simple. And then I don't have to mess with any more insulation, and I think for the rear it's gonna be fine. I sound super lazy when I'm talking about this stuff, but I just want to make sure that doing the build it's less of a headache and I just get it done while still planning ahead and just having it be as good as it can be for doing this myself. I'm not a plumber, I'm not a carpenter. There are lots of birds inside the shop right now. Yeah, so you'll watch me go through some of this and I'm sure that I'll get flamed in the comments for, oh, you should have done it this way, you should have done it this way. I wouldn't have done that, this is how I would have done it. I would love to hear how you would have done it, but yeah, this is more of a, you know what, I'm not gonna make up for any stupidity on anything that I do here. Yeah, this is more about just taking you through the entirety of getting this done. So I gotta figure out this back piece, and then it comes to figuring out my dimensions and then getting some cuts done on the plywood, the subfloor. So yeah, let's jump into it. How do I even say this? I really haven't made much headway on the van in the last probably week due to the fact that I have been working on motor issues. This is something I knew was gonna come up. I knew it was gonna be an issue from the start. I don't wanna dig too hard into my insulation here. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. I knew it was something that needed to be taken care of pretty much right off the bat when I bought the van. At this point, I've kind of deduced that I need to pretty much pull the motor out because of the way that a van is built and the way that a motor bay is kind of just the way that van's made. The biggest hurdle that I'm trying to overcome right now is just working on the motor, period. I have some sort of a tick happening. I'm pretty positive I know exactly where it's at. I've delved into the motor a little bit, which I'll show. But the issue with that being is that it's on bank 1, which is on the back side of the motor, closest to me right now, on my backside. And there's not a way to get through it on the firewall. Even if there was, I wouldn't want to take the dash apart to get to it. So it's kind of put a roadblock on some of the ways that I've been working on the van. That being said, I have kind of taken a break to analyze the situation and come back with a better mindset on it. It is just motor work. I now have to do 2 projects on the van at the same time to stay up to date and just productive on it, which is really hard. It's kind of a blessing in disguise because if I'm not working on the back, the cargo area, the living space, I can work on the motor. This will be my first time pulling a motor out of a vehicle besides anything smaller like a motorcycle or a scooter or moped. So it's a little daunting to me. I just really want it to be as smooth as possible, as is kind of the theme of the stuff that I've been doing. Nothing is as easy as it ever seems. So I'm at a point where I just want to kind of make a little bit of ground in the back here to make up for what's going on in the front. The last place I left off with the van was I got all of the foam board in. I have the floor pretty much completely framed out besides a little bit in the back and a little bit in the front. So today I'm going to tape over all the seams, get that to a point where I'm really happy with it. From there I can throw the subfloor down eventually. The problem being is I don't want to cut any wood because my motor is open and exposed right now, so anything floating around the air, any moisture is going to get into the motor, into the block, and I don't want that to happen. Not that it's a ticking time bomb, but every day that the motor sits, it's kind of detrimental to its health in the long run. Even though the van is a 2016, the motor does have 142,000 miles on it, which brings me to a point of needing maintenance anyways. It just really sucks that this is like the start of this whole thing, but I know that at the end of it, I'm gonna be way happier that I did it. There's just so much to do. There's so much to do. There's so much to get done on it, and I just really want it to turn out good. It's one of those things that you plan and you think and you think and you think over and over, and I just, at the end of the day, I just want it to be good. So hopefully everything's gonna work out. I just need to persevere and push through it. Just really wish I had somebody else to work on it with me. It'll get done. Let's just keep going. Literally the last piece of this. So this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with. I gotta pull apart right now. The plan for today is getting this thing back together, making sure that when I do any of the construction that I need to do, that there's no dust getting into the motor, which is going to be the biggest issue if anything were to happen. After getting pretty much all of the aluminum tape in yesterday, I wanted to make sure that I was able to put the subfloor in as soon as possible. I unfortunately ran out just on that last seam there and there, but I have to put a 2x4 that needs a little bit of love to fit into this space. I'm gonna take those 2 anchors out, and then a 2x4 in the back. And what those 2 2x4s are gonna allow me to do is anchor the door if I decide to put a sliding door in here, which is ideally kind of what I want. I want it to look as much like a work van as possible while still being easy to operate and just looking good. So yeah, it's important to me to have that like nice fit and finish on something that's going to be seen from the cab at any given time. I don't want to have to do any window covers or have to mess with anything like that. So I think just doing a solid door across the back is going to be the best idea. But if I can get the subfloor done today, that means that the roof is ready to get some holes punched into it, which is going to be killer because I've been kind of like dreading it, but super excited for it at the same time. Because the van it's a 16. I'm doing this in 2020. The van's 4-ish years old. Because of where it was located in Minnesota, some of the caulking on the roof has kind of been compromised from weather changing and possibly salt, I'm not quite sure, sun damage. So I'll have to get up on the roof, recaulk some of the seams because I do have not a major water leak, but major enough for the longevity of the van. So I'll be doing that when I get the solar panels and the skylight and my max air fan on the roof. And punch all those holes in the top of the tin can. The reason that I kind of lost a little bit of morale on the whole project was because of the motor issues. I wanted to make sure that I was gonna have a good, you know, I just want to make sure that the van runs and drives and does everything that it should before the back gets built. And it had gotten to a point where I opened the motor up and realized that, hey, this is gonna be a lot bigger of a project than I thought it was gonna be. Just mostly because the camshaft has to come out, which means that I have to do timing. I'm just gonna replace all the rocker arms at the same time. Oh, the sun. Why'd you come out like that? It just ends up meaning that I need to do a lot more replacing than I previously thought, which is usually the case for motor work. I cannot keep this dialed in correctly because the sun keeps peaking, but there's no clouds. Why does it keep changing? The sun's intensity is changing as we speak. I recently talked to somebody who's gonna be helping me pull the motor. I've never pulled a motor before, so it does scare me a little bit. Being that it is a newer vehicle, I don't want to have to mess with the sensors. Coolant is not fun. I don't like messing with it. And then there's vacuum hoses and all the good stuff. But yeah, that whole motor project is getting put on hold for a little bit. In the meantime, I can keep going on construction, which is a good news. That's a green light for me, because that's something that I not necessarily know, but it's something that I understand what's going on with. The motor work I'm also familiar with. It's just scary to me because it is going to be my home for the next 150,000 miles, hopefully. And considering that the motor already has 142 on it, it just makes me a little weary of how much longer it's actually going to last. The only downside to the van that I bought. But yeah, let's get this floor in. Let's keep on rolling with the punches. It's been a project so far, but the bulk of my electrical is coming today. My diesel heater, I have my fridge, I have my solar panels, I have my batteries. Everything is coming together just as fast as it can.